What is cracking, people? Hopefully we're doing all right. Bit of a recap yesterday. I took two EU trades. Took a 1% gain here and then had to get out because of news. Hit my invalidation anyway, so I was happy. And then the second trade in here was a break even. I've posted both of them on Twitter, so if you're not following me on Twitter, on X, make sure to go do that. Yeah, let's kind of get into what I'm expecting today. So today, I feel like sells are more valid. Just a feeling I have, but structurally buys make sense. So on EU, for example, we've obviously pushed higher into this point, and then we're looking for what's going in the opposite direction. So we've medium induced into this point. This is our current range, which we've then pulled down and mitigated the area of extreme and then pushed out from that. So off of the push out from that, we created a structure cycle. We've got our extreme and our decisional. Off of that, we've then pushed into, I would say, like the last 10-minute point, maybe even a little bit lower. Even lower, like the last 3-minute point, maybe. Last little area in here. Where you mark it out, completely up to you. But we've pushed into that now. Now, off of that, we've pushed out. So the push out of that has actually created another structure cycle. We've got an extreme, which has obviously just mitigated itself, push, and then has created a retest into a previous point that should not hold anymore. So we should buy. Basically, off of the mitigation that we've just had, buys make a lot of sense. If you read a little bit more internally, this is the decisional of the break. And if you kind of read a little bit further into this, we may come and take something first to then push up. Like I said, sells make sense in my head, but buys make more sense structurally. If we kind of read what the extreme is in this little range is, we've got like a 10-minute point that sits internally in here. So this area would be a lot cleaner to buy off of, but we've kind of taken this little internal retest now. It makes sense to just keep buying. So what I'll be looking for is just buys here or the take of this point and buys here. And they're kind of the two options I'm looking at, but there's just something in me that says that sells make more sense. In terms of GU, more or less the same thing has kind of happened. Okay, so we've got this break here, which we've got the decisional, which we've already taken, and then this area is kind of already filled because we've pushed really, really far into this area, into this entire demand. We've already pushed out of it. So this is kind of the extreme. This entire area is actually the extreme. I imagine like on the 4-hour is what it looks like, or even a little bit lower. It's just all filled. Okay, so it makes it very, very interesting with that big push. But off of that mitigation, we've broken and we've created another structure cycle. Now, the decisional was really bad, but we've already taken the decisional into the mitigation of that extreme. So if it's going to buy, it's going to push from here. Like I said, sells in my mind just make a lot more sense. But given this structure, we've always had break. We then took this internal decisional, came into the mitigation of basically the extreme that had already like filled on itself, and then pushed away from that. So off of the push of that, we created a structure cycle. Then we came up and broke structure, retest, and pushed up with a structure cycle. So buys make more sense. There may be like an early entry now that occurs, but buys make a lot more sense structurally. So what I'm going to be looking for is from where it is right now is basically to buy. I don't think it actually needs to come any lower. There's no structure cycle internally in here, and all of this should just be basically liquidity to come and target. So buys make sense where we are. There's just this gut feeling in me that sells we're going to come lower. Okay, I'll update everyone, obviously in the premium and the free means of access like the Telegram and so on, if anything changes, but buys make sense structurally. AU, the same thing makes sense. Daily break structure, push straight into decisional. Off of that push into decisional, we've got break, retest, and push. We've now taken the retest, pulled all the way down into the extreme. And off of that actually created structure cycle downwards. So we had our internal break, which then retested and pushed away. We then took that into the mitigation of decisional and pushed away. We then had mitigation of extreme, internal break structure, decisional, extreme, and push out with that internal retest too. So all I'm looking for is just the take of this decisional, and then I'm happy to buy through all of this liquidity. Okay, sells here once we take that decisional off the cards anyway. So if we'd like pushed up, I would have been happy to sell to buy, but I'm happy to buy off the take of this. mitigation of this even better. I think what will actually occur is like the smart money trap entry. Like I said, there's still just something in my brain that thinks it makes sense to sell. We'll see what happens, but buys structurally do make more sense. Okay, so we'll see how that goes. In terms of the DXY, same situation. It's just completely disregarding this decisional. It keeps pushing through it. You've had break of structure. You've got the decisional with just a random point, internal break up to the mitigation of that decisional, which we've now mitigated. It's already taken this really, really small push and point into it. So you've got break. It's then come and taken that liquidity and pushed further into this point. It can do this with so much liquidity, but it can also do that. So this is the problem we're at. We're at a 50-50 point on the DXY. I would think selling makes more sense given where we're acting from. Possibly coming to take this high and these equal highs and then sell, I think makes more sense. But we will have to wait and see. We have come to the extreme of this little internal range. Technically, the same thing happened again, kind of mitigated everything, but we do have this point up here, which is the same problem as GU as well. So I'm seeing both ways in the market making sense. There's just something in my gut that tells me sells make more sense, but we'll just have to wait and see and kind of go from there. So let's continue on. Like I said, on X, if you guys are on there, make sure to go and have a look. I'll update every day with what I take and keep that updated. We will see how today goes. I like sells more given that we've had an inducement into a mitigation. We've got a straight range. The decisional sucks. I view this as a break of structure. We're bearish. It's just this little movement in here has made it really difficult. Technically, that is our bullish range inside of a bullish range, and none of this holds any weight. This shouldn't hold any weight. This shouldn't hold any weight. And that's where that difficulty kind of comes in. But I like sells. So I will try and play both sides of this, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. Other than that, let's have a good Wednesday. I'll keep you guys updated, and yeah, let's smash it.